You always seem like you're on her bad side, man.
Yeah.
And you're live, gentlemen.
She love me though. It's all good.
All right, we live, big man.
Alrighty, how y'all doing tonight? Welcome for another wonderful night of Fathers and Finance. We're missing out one of our horsemen tonight, Trevor Evans. He had some stuff to handle, some personal issues he had to handle. But we're here. Your host Marcus coming in. I got my guy Isaac Crumbly on with me, and Mr. Patrick Bliggity Black Tie Graves. How y'all doing tonight, man?
Good, brother, but I need you to address me by my proper name. You know I got a new proper name. So
Oh,
I need you to address me by
right. See, my bad, y'all. I apologize. Let me back up. I got my guy, Paw. And do you want me in training or no?
This Papa OC is good enough.
Papa OC on.
Papa OC is good enough.
Ready to bring y'all this financial literacy.
Awesome.
How y'all doing tonight?
We good, brother. We good.
For sure.
How are you, man?
Good, man. Good. Zero complaints. You know, I'm on the active side of the earth. You know what I mean? I'm good. No complaints for sure.
Yes, sir. Well, you know my father's a botanist, man. Both sides are active, but you mean you're above ground. Both sides are active, so I'm just.
Yes, sir.
The science part of me won't let that.
Okay. Well, I'm above ground. I woke up this morning. I'm good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're gonna be bringing you guys what our campaign is all about. What we do and how we educate people on finances to help them better their financial spaces, and also join us on our campaign to impact 30 million families by 2030. Now, we build a new industry with our campaign. It's 2021. You know what I mean? The old ways. You can't stick to old ways and expect better results. So we had to up the ante. Bringing the heat with the financial literacy to really get people on, get them on the same page with building their financial houses and getting their financial life in order, and we help to guide them on how to do that. My guy's gonna help me as we share our campaign today, and the how we truly help people. And Pat, did you want to elaborate on the Facebook community?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me good?
Yes, sir.
You hear me good? Okay. So
yes,
first and foremost, I have the honor to be in on this panel with these great gentlemen, and then we have my support system here on it as well: Delita McCrae, Femi Frazier, and Miss Shar Crumbly that's on here every and Tanisha, of course, who's the brains behind this whole show. And what we want to talk about today is about how the campaign brought all of us here today to even give you Fathers and Finance to give birth to this great platform that we have to be able to share information as far as finances go, and what not and what to do. And if you didn't know, now you know, type deal. So the community, we have a Facebook community that has over 75,000 members of it. And what happens on our Facebook community is just like with any other community. We're sharing about our successes. We're sharing about what we learned that day, new things that maybe we wanted another associate or a friend or sister, business partner to know, some new information, So the campaign is very enlightening, is uplifting. You get to see people succeed from and see their story as far as where they came from and where they are now, to give you motivation to understand that you can do those same things. So the campaign is just, an awesome campaign to be a part of. Like Marcus said, we will really love to have each and every one of you that's watching the show tonight to actually tune in and be a part of that community. But the Facebook community is just to add on the sugar on top, to give you that support. you know.
I got to make sure that I share some of my successes today as well.
Yes, sir.
I'm extremely busy. And what's up, David? Hope you're doing good, brother. I see David on. Long-time supporter of our program. So just want to make a big shout out to David, and also quick shout out to Trevor. Hope you're doing good, brother. We miss you. We'll hope we have you on here next week. But I was blessed. I'm an extremely busy individual, and our team. What we have here is true teamwork. So, I just sent somebody that was asking about, hey, Isaac, I know you guys are doing some financial literacy. I need to get some help. And typically I can work around this time here on my personal business, but their schedule didn't permit that. So I passed this on to Ms. Delitha McRae, who is like the mother, matriarch of our team here, and she got it done for me. So, it's that type of family that we have here, where we look out for one another and we help other people. So she actually was able to do an IUL for a client of mine, actually a very close personal friend of mine, not just for herself, but for her child. She put money aside for her child so that when that child goes to college, that child doesn't have to have the burden of financial, of loans and all of those types of things. So that was one family we helped. And then I got an approval on another policy where a gentleman had calculated his dime method, which I think we're going to talk about tonight. He calculated his dime method, and he figured out what his family needed if he would be able to pass away, and he was able to get approved. As a matter of fact, I rated him lower, but they rated him higher, so he may get a little money back because he paid the whole year out in full. So these are the types of successes that we want to share on the Facebook community, and we want to share on Telegram and any other thing. One of my favorite stories, Patrick, I don't know what your favorite story is, but I always like to talk about the girl that in the middle of the pandemic paid off $65,000 worth of debt last year while everybody else was looking and struggling for work. She paid off $65,000. That's one of my favorite stories that I love to share on the Facebook community. I don't know about you guys.
That's definitely up there. That's up there for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's amazing.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories is actually a personal story. I had somebody that was really close to me, and I watched her apply the knowledge from the workshops that we have and be diligent in the plan that we set up for her. And I watched her credit score jump up almost 250 points. She called me and say, Pat, this really works. I can't believe it. And it made me feel really good that I was able to give her that information, work on a plan with her, and actually see it happen for her like I seen it work for myself. So those are the biggest success for me, is to actually see people really apply themselves, actually see them change their life. And now they're looking at a different future than they were before they met me or was introduced to the campaign. So, once you start paying attention to yourself, and when I say yourself, that includes everything, mental, spiritually, physically, you start seeing changes in yourself and seeing a different future, seeing a different lifestyle for yourself. So that's a big thing for me. And also seeing how people get the thing that opens up people's eyes is those commas. People see a comma check or see something like that, and that changes things for them mentally to actually say, hey, I can do this. Maybe if that person did it, then I could do it too. And when they see the support that they have with this community and see the community ship that we have here, what's not to like? Because in a world full of hate, we sharing so much love, and you can't get that too many places.
Just so that people know, Patrick said comma checks. So that just simply means, we got people that are getting checks out here with commas on them. And a lot of these checks, Patrick, are part-time, right?
Right. They're like part-time, and then, I don't want to get all the way into, the way that we get compensated in that way, but seeing a check that's for $16,000 in one check is something that's going to change a lot of people's lives, especially out out of the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic, people just not seeing those type of checks. If they do have a good job, you know, so it's something to really look forward to, something to really push for, you know.
You know, Patrick,
achieve.
all three of us were at this event on Sunday with other campaigners like ourselves. One of the things that I remember, you know, as you know, I need to change my name on there to Pawpaw, so I'm gonna do that in just a second. But I had to leave to try to take care of some potential grandfather duties. But one of the things that I saw before I left were the three ladies from the Asian community where they did not have a license amongst them, and they all made comma checks. Like big comma checks before they got their license. So after they got their license, the checks were that much bigger. You know what I'm saying? So how in the world can you not have a license and still get comma checks? And you know what I'm saying? I mean, that was big.
The thing about it is like, it's like this business is so phenomenal, and if you really believe in yourself, there's really no sky. There's no limit to what you can accomplish. And I always say all the time that this community doesn't just give you paper. It's not just giving you a bag or you learn about education. You're learning about yourself and how to be a better self. You know what I mean? Becoming a leader, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of humbling. But this organization and this community, it pushes you whereas though in some other cases you will quit. You might quit. You might say, oh, this ain't for me. But being part of this community, it doesn't allow you to quit. It continues to motivate you every day because you see somebody every day that is living their dream, becoming more wealthy, becoming more smart, and affecting change in their family, seeing their families happy. And you want those same things. Everybody wants to be happy and live the life that they want to live.
Debt free and all.
And change generational curses. You know what I mean? So that's really big for me, like to see it every day. And you know, what you can see, you can achieve. Right. What you think of, you can achieve if you bring it into fruition, you know?
Yeah. Right. And even if someone was on the brinks of, you know, they feeling like they're kind of at their low and they want to quit the business or whatnot, all it takes is one meeting. Just being around these wonderful people will bring that life back into you to, you know what I mean, keep pushing. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what kind of rough patches you might face. That's life. You know what I mean? Nothing is going to be completely smooth. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just great to be a part of this community and have the support.
Well, guys, let's talk a little bit about some of the reasons that people actually approach us. You know, one of the things that, you know, that is real is that 2020 should have taught us is that uncertainty is everywhere, man. I mean, you know, at the beginning of 2020, none of us saw what was about to happen. I mean, I didn't, man. I just didn't see it. You know, even I remember I was just in the beginning of 2020, I was just coming on board with WSB, and I know Letha was like, Isaac, we're gonna get you going to China. You know, you're gonna go to China. And when I first started hearing the news, I was like, I don't know, this pandemic may keep people from going. And she was like, nah, we're going. And then after a while, she was like, you know, I guess we ain't going. You know what I'm saying? It was just nobody saw that. But some of the things that I know people are talking about is that people are like some of the stuff that we deal with, people are cutting jobs and sending jobs overseas. And I was a part of that. That's why I came to this industry, period. I was a part of that because I used to, well, my wife always tells me not to mention the company, but I used to work for a very, 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 very large electronics company. And you probably got a TV or something like that in your house right now by these people. And I was a supply chain manager. One day we walk into the office and there's a bunch of people from India in our office, and they're like, hey, these guys are going to do exactly what you do, but they're just going to do it for our company in India. So we're like, all right, cool. We need you to train them. And we trained them for about a month. They went back to India the next week. They were like, see y'all later. Peace out. Those people were taking our jobs. Yes, they were training to do our jobs, but not for the Indian facility. They were doing what we were doing right here in Atlanta, and they let us go because they were going to be able to do it for cheaper over there. So, and that they basically lied to us, but that wasn't uncommon. That happens to a lot of people, as well as other things, automation and some other things. Is that right, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As you can see,
Yeah.
technology is taking over the human jobs. You know what I mean? With the department stores, grocery stores, the self-checkouts, you know what I mean, is getting real extensive. They're minimizing employees, you know what I mean? They just have somebody that's controlling technology to make sure it's operating like it should, even in warehouses. They have, the technology is just, it's kind of, these businesses are pushing towards the technology pretty much taking over, and they're minimizing staff to the point where all they need is a few guys to really just monitor the systems.
That warehousing thing is big. What you just said, brother Marcus, that's big, man. I mean, literally, you just got to have people to key that stuff in, put it on a shelf, and then they got little automated things, man. Come through and grab it, check it out, boom. I mean, that's a huge change from, man, 10, 15 years ago. As a supply chain planner, I used to have to know where stuff was in the warehouse, and we had a ton of warehouse guys. But that automation thing, man, is dead serious. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
it's taking a bunch of jobs. So these are the type of things that are scaring people. You also got stuff like small businesses having limited capital and what have you. What was crazy to me, my wife, as you can see on this side right here, her name, I don't know what her grandma name is yet. I call her Chocolate of Goodness. So maybe she's Chocolate of Goodness grandma. Maybe that's what she's gonna be. I'm not quite sure what we're gonna call her yet, but anyway, she owns the best juice bar on the face of the planet, and I'm not exaggerating. It's the best juice bar on the face of the planet. And when the pandemic hit, we shut down just like everybody else shut down. But other businesses, who are multi-million, sometimes billion-dollar corporations, was shutting down. So we got a PPE loan and we were able to stay open, but there was a whole bunch of people, man, that, that was it. I mean, how many businesses have we driven by, that are no longer there that we used to go to, that we never thought were going to leave at the start of 2020?
Right about that, man.
Right.
We never thought they would leave.
The pandemic definitely opened our eyes with a lot of things. Myself, because I was connected to the campaign prior to the pandemic starting, I had no worries about where I was going to be and what I had to do. Even though the stress level was high for a lot of us during that time, just not knowing exactly how things were going to work. For me, it was just going outside, period. Being scared of being around the people that I loved and my friends, because it was definitely, I feel like, a big scare tactic. Also, it did a lot for people when they spent money, how they spent money, because they didn't have much of it, and then they was planning to, how they was going to be able to sustain the life that they were previously had before the pandemic. Yet, through all of that, our campaign was there for those people to say that there's a way out of this, and not only can we help you, but we're growing during this pandemic. There's been a lot of people that I made a lot of money during the pandemic. And it's the first time that I made my own money. You know what I mean? So being my own businessman and learning about how finances work and making the money by myself and not being paid by somebody was really good during the pandemic, not working since February of 2020. Because I feel like the pandemic really started in March. Like, we heard about it in November of 2019. People didn't take it serious. Our president was one of them. He didn't really take it serious. We didn't know exactly what it was. And then once March hit, it really was full effect. Like, we actually start seeing it happen around our neighborhoods, our communities, the cities, the businesses that we used to attend and everything like that. So, crazy time, but it was a very exciting time for me too. So I learned a lot. I'm thankful for it, really.
Well, you know, I became a marketing director in the campaign during the pandemic, but what was so key to me, brother, think about this. I remember the government, all of these rich people, most of them Caucasian, but some of them are people that have our skin color, were arguing about whether a $600 stimulus check was too much money for the average American to receive one time. Some cases they're talking about $1,200. What are you gonna do as a real person, as a family man? What are you gonna do with $1,200? And when people are stressed out over politicians talking about, do I really deserve $600? That type of worry can make people go crazy.
Mhm.
And that is why when Delitha told me that when in the midst of the pandemic and people were losing their jobs, Delitha told me that she had people that had lost their jobs, but their finances were intact. They were not dependent on Mitch McConnell and all of these other jackasses, excuse my language, but they weren't dependent on them to determine whether $600 or $1,200 was gonna be enough for you. I don't want people dependent on $1,200. Man, you get $1,200 and you got a family, just by yourself is going in a week or two, but you got a family. How long does $1,200 last? How long does $600 last? And you talk about people becoming dependent on $1,200, please. So that when you got that type of discussion going on in Washington, and you bring people to this campaign, you're really solving a lot of issues, man. And when Delisa told me that, I was like, bro, I gotta be in this. I gotta be in this campaign. So one of the things we want to talk about, what is our situation right now? So a lot of us, as I just mentioned, those were the conditions, but those conditions bring about things like, can I pay my bills?
Right.
Obviously, we just talked about career concerns. Are you getting paid what you're worth? I know my wife used to save at her job. She used to save the telecom she's worked for $2 million a month as a minimum. $2 million a month. Now, if you're saving somebody $2 million a month, what you gonna pay them? If you're a righteous person, man, please, I at least ought to give you $1 million for saving me $2 million a month, but no, not this telecom. So, and there's plenty of us that work in that situation. Are your children and your parents growing up faster than you're making money to provide for them? And are we really, are we in a financial trap? So guys, I want to talk real quick. There are 6 points that we use, us as fathers in finance, to try to educate people. And the 6 points are, one of the points that we have and we always like to talk about is learning and understanding how money works. People always work for money, but they don't know how to make money work for them. Trevor kind of says he likes to put his money on the stroll. If Trevor was on here tonight, he likes to say that, he puts that money on the street. That money better come back with some other friends. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that we like to teach people how to do. I know you guys have a couple of examples about that. I know we discussed some of them in the production meeting. What were some of the things that you guys have come across where you have taught people about how money works?
Saving, you know what I mean? Just first and foremost, that's the first step towards creating that separation, that better financial space. But just educating them on really the concepts, the different concepts that we'll go over on money and how to make your money work for you. People who don't know how to make money work for them, they'll always find themselves working for somebody. And not too many of us want to work for somebody the rest of our lives. And I just want to touch on what you were saying, you and Pat were saying earlier, Isaac, about just, with everything going on, with, people finances and the whole pandemic just really putting a damper on a lot of situations. And it's with this campaign, this community is just being a part. It really, really helped you to avoid that. You know what I mean? And that's what we want to get strong. We want to get some strong people to really run with this campaign with us, so we can impact this 30 million families by 2030. You know what I mean? It's we got to make these calls to action. You know what I'm saying? It's understanding how money works. Financial literacy period is important, but understanding how money works, that's the basic. That's at least the basic foundation. You can kind of make some things happen for yourself to better your financial space. Just, really, really understanding the concepts and things that we'll go over and touch on to help you to learn how money works.
Marcus, not to be silly, man, but I was listening to you talk, and I was looking at that velvety jacket of yours. I'm telling you right now, I would save money if you talked to me with that velvety jacket and that crisp white shirt that you had on. I look at you, man, and I'd be like, look at old Velvety Smooth over there with that super white shirt. I would listen to that man and say, hi man, I'm teasing, I'm being silly. I'm messing with you.
Oh, yes, sir. Look, hey, you gotta still gotta look good now. It's
you're looking good, man. You're looking good, brother. You're looking velvety, man. You're looking velvety. You know what I'm saying? Looking velvety. So.
Thank you, man, for sure. But and then with just to kind of add to understanding how money works, you have to have financial goals. If you're not, if you don't have these things planned out, your financial goals and what you want to accomplish for yourself financially, you're gonna have a hard time bettering your financial situation for sure. And
That's right.
We got this thing at the end of the call that at the end of the show that we're gonna put up called the Personal Financial Strategy. Me before I came here, being in the industry for 6 or 7 years, there were questions on there that I never thought to ask myself. And there are, that's what, and as the thing says, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. So, we gotta, this is point 2, what we're talking about having a financial goal. If you don't, first of all, you gotta know what your goal is. Like a lot of people they know that they want to retire, but they don't even start thinking about retirement till like 50, and that's
Mm-hmm.
and if you start talking about retirement at 50, then you gotta spend a whole lot of money because you don't have any more time. So you got to start spending a lot more money on that. So the educational part of that is real big, man. That's important what you said.
Yeah. So what I take from the campaign is first, it's a lot of direction. A lot of times I look at it when it comes to finances overall for people in this country and a lot of different countries. It's like we in the middle of a all white room and we're just walking around in circles because we don't know exactly where the door is. How do you get there? Yes, some people find it, and some people are lucky enough to have people in their life to say, hey, this is the path that you should walk to get to your goals. And that's what this campaign does. It's showing you how to build a proper financial foundation. So when you look at that, for me, when I look at the house, and I said, okay, it says protection first. So that's the first thing that I decided that's the first thing that I'm going to attack them. I need to go see if I have protection. You're asking yourself those same questions. Do I have protection? If I don't, how do I get it? How much is it going to cost? Can I get protection? Can I qualify for it?
Right.
Then it's debt management where a lot of people are.
Well, Pat, before you climb up that thing, Patrick, remember the protection is not just for their life; it's also for their income.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they become disabled,
a
lot of people think the protection is just if they die. But if you can't work anymore because of disability, that's another part of the protection.
Thank you, Isaac, for sure.
That's right.
That's sure.
That's right.
But go ahead, man. I'm sorry. Before you left protection, I just want to make sure we address that.
I appreciate you saying that because that's a very important part of protection.
It is.
When you hear protection, we only get a piece of it.
Right.
We only getting a piece of it. You're not getting the whole pie. Like you got to understand that anything that you have, your assets, it needs protecting. It's just like you getting you got the fancy car outside. You want it to be protected. If something happens to it, you want to know that it's going to be taken care of. Your family, you want it to be protected. So that goes along with your finances and your life. It goes into the protection portion of that. But debt management, that's a lot of times people don't understand about how debt works. And we talk about it in let me find the words. We talk about how debt can double up, so compound interest, right?
Right.
It works for you and it can work against you.
For sure.
Understanding that can give you guidance on what you need to do so that you don't fall into a pitfall, into a trap, into something that you feel like you can't get out of. And we're here to help you deal with those things, come up with a plan, stay consistent with that plan, and actually see that plan through.
Sure.
Emergency funds, you know, understanding that emergencies are going to happen.
Hold up, bro. Before you hit the emergency funds.
Are you saying something?
Yeah. It's interesting with that debt management.
Go ahead.
It says here, you should set aside 3 to 6 months of your income to deal with sudden changes in your job or business or to pay for unforeseen accidents or repairs. Now, we're in a pandemic, at the end of a pandemic, well over a year. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the 3 to 6 months, that's a good start. But you might want to have more than that. But that's all. I just wanted to touch on that. Go ahead, bro, for sure, with the emergency fund.
That's for sure. I'm glad that you touched on that, just because like a lot of us may not be in that position to have 3 to 6 months, but to know that that is something that is advised, then you know that you have something to work towards. And going into emergency funds, like I said, emergencies happen, whether you like it or not, whether you plan for it, you be the most safe person. You looking forward into the future to stop or prevent anything from happening. There's emergencies that may happen. They may not even happen to you. They may happen to somebody in your family, somebody that's close to you, your kids, your husband, your wives. You know what I'm saying? So having that emergency fund is there to help you get through, and to help you get through that hard time. A lot of times when we don't have emergency funds, we go and get into more debt. So y'all see how I said that, right? If we don't have emergency funds, we usually go back into debt to accommodate what we're facing at that time. You know what I mean? So
title loans are created just for that. And people lose their cars behind that. Title loan companies will, as a matter of fact, I think this is real interesting, man. I think it's out of all the millions of title loan companies that you see, it's only 2 or 3 people that really own all of those companies. They just named them different things. One of the guys that lives here in Georgia is a cajillionaire. I know that ain't even a real word, but like if you drive down the street and you see different title loan places, those are typically his. Like somebody told me about it and I went and looked them up. This guy just has, so if you got a bad experience at one, you go to another one, it's the same dude and he just changes up little things. But that lack of emergency fund is what drives people there. And of course, the interest is what, 35%? I think it was just recently that the government was like, you can't charge this high of interest anymore. I mean, it's stupid. I think at one point in time, they was charging 67% interest. And then they was bringing it down to like 30 something. And when you talk about the rule of 72, what is 67% interest divided into 72? That's what, doubles in 1 year, something stupid? I mean, that's crazy, man.
Insane, man. That's insane.
That's insane, bro. That's insane.
It sounds just like a black hole.
Right.
It sounds like a black hole to me, because like if you think about that, that means if you're not able or you don't come up with that money, you are going to continue to fall down. You're going to continue to sink down and sink down and sink down. And when people go through things like that, a lot of times people's mental is not strong enough to say, hey, I'm gonna fight myself out of this, and they just give up on it and say, hey, it's a lost cause. I'm done with that. I can't do anything about it. But you really can, with the right proper planning and the right executed moves. You can do anything in this finance world.
For sure. Now let's touch on that wealth formula.
And then
understand.
Oh yeah, the wealth formula. You want to touch on it?
Oh yeah. Go ahead, for sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got your.
Now get into investments right after.
Oh yeah, you got your financial house in order.
Now y'all know we skip what you call, right? All 6 of our missions
What's
to
up?
motivate, but that's cool. I'm just saying, I just pick at y'all
Yeah.
later. But let's
Yeah.
let's go and hit the wealth
Start it
formula.
off for us, Isaac, when you get finished.
I already did it. I was on part 3 and y'all just jumped right over that, but it's all good. Let's go.
The debt liability.
Let's go hit the wealth formula. Let's hit the wealth formula. It's all good.
My bad. I see how we're moving along. Wealth formula coming up, but this wealth formula is amazing. Just like I said, once you got your financial house in order, you got your protection, you got your debt management, your emergency fund and investments. You get this wealth formula down, it's amazing. Your money, of course, is money. What we make, what we bringing in. Your time, you're young. You start young, like myself. I ain't that young, but I'm young. Your time is on your side, so you don't have to use too much money. And if you're a little older, just working on your finances and kind of
like me. You're a pawpaw.
You ain't old.
No, but I'm 20 years older than you. That's a pawpaw. So I got less time than you do to save for finances.
Right.
But no, I'm just saying, you're 30, I'm 20 years older, 21 years older actually. So if I would have started today, I gotta use more money to get to the same point. Considerably more money to get to the same point.
For sure, yeah, definitely. And you have your rate of return after your time. Of course, that's the only thing that's plus or minus. And that's whatever investment vehicle you have your money in. Of course, it can be positive or negative. Hopefully yours on the positive side. Your inflation and tax, that'll never be positive. Inflation, of course, 10 years from now, milk will not cost less than what it costs now. It's going to cost more. So there you have your inflation, and Uncle Sam is not playing no games. He ain't giving us no money. He barely want to give us our money. So, it ain't going down. Tax, But if you talk to myself or one of my business partners, we can help you finagle your way through that a little bit so Uncle Sam won't hit you too heavy. And all
we want to be careful about saying finagle and taxes, brother.
Not for, excuse me.
We want to be real careful on this call.
Yeah, not so much
finagle and taxes.
Yeah. Well, we can help you avoid getting hit so hard by Uncle Sam.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that equals your wealth. But if you have your financial house in order, you got your wealth formula down, you definitely on the path to create some type of success for yourself.
I wanted to ask Isaac a question. So say that I'm a non-professional finance professional and I'm looking at the wealth formula. How do I assess and what does that look like in my day-to-day? Like, okay, so I make money.
Mm-hmm.
See, money, put that back up for us. The wealth formula. All right, cool. Go ahead, Patrick.
So I go to my job, I make money, then I add the time to it. The rate of return is the different vehicles you can use, and I understand about inflation and taxes, right? So how do I use that in a day-to-day? So how do I monitor that every day?
So here's my suggestion. So number one of the things, there some of the things in this discussion we're clearly kind of leaving out. I mean, we're only going to be talking for an hour, so it's kind of hard to hop on. Like, you know how we kind of fully go into this when we got a client. But the way that I would suggest doing this is, of course, if you got money, one of the things you need to do, just on a side note, is have multiple sources of income. If 2020 taught us anything, we need to have multiple sources of income. But when it comes to the time part of it, what you have to do, whether you talk to us or somebody else that you trust, you talk to a financial professional, you have to look at your age, and you have to look at, as we said earlier, set that goal. And then whatever your goal is, you have to have a financial vehicle that has the right rate of return going to it. So you may start out, and so you may go, well, man, I only make X number of dollars, which does not get me there. That's fine. Get started on that program. Then if you're a person that gets money back on your taxes, you can start like some of the vehicles that we talk about, like with the IUL. You could start max funding that, or get you another one, or you could do a 7-step where you just dump large sums of money in. But either way, you've got a financial vehicle that you can modify as time goes on to reach your goal. The point is to start somewhere. Just because you do not have what you want right now does not mean that you do not need to start. You need to start where you are. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, so you got to take some steps to actually get there. And then on top of that, that financial vehicle must take in inflation. When I used to flip houses back in the day, and we would take over houses, there would be a list that we would get from the city. And there were a lot of houses, man, that had mortgages in the 70s, 71, 72 of $60, $70, $120. You can't even imagine a mortgage right now of $120. You're like, where do you live? A box? How do you pay a mortgage of $120? But that's how bad inflation was. I was born in 1970. I'm 51. So think about that inflation from having a $70 mortgage to having a $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 mortgage. What type of inflation is that going on? And of course, we want to limit or mitigate to the best we can your taxes. So that vehicle must be a tax advantage strategy if you could do that. Not a tax deferred, but a tax advantage strategy. So one of the things, I hope Tanisha doesn't mind pulling this up. There's something called.
Hold on, Isaac. What's the difference with tax deferred and tax advantage?
Well, tax deferred and tax advantage. So I'll give you an example. We all of us here are real happy with IULs. I mean, we love IULs here. We always tell people if you can qualify for it physically and health-wise, that's the vehicle to get. So as an example, I have a client that was tax deferred in a 401k. She had $1.2 million in her 401k. Everybody goes, wow, she's rich, right? She's set for life, $1.2 million. She retires, guess what happens? The government said, hey, I didn't tax you all this time for the last 35 years. Now you about to get this 1.2 million, I need my cut. When she got her money, she didn't get 1.2. She didn't get $1 million. She didn't get 900,000. She didn't get 800,000. She didn't get 700,000. She got $680,000 out of $1.2 million. So that's a tax deferred strategy.
Wow.
Now, if she had a tax advantage strategy with an IUL, where the money cannot be taxed because it is attached to a life insurance policy, then she can take out close to $1 million with no taxes. Actually, she could take out $1 million something with no taxes at all. On top of that, she can actually, instead of taking out $1 million, she can actually set the IUL to do what's called a drip, where every year she can say, I want $60,000 to come out. I want 20,000 or 30,000, whatever. Like if her house is paid off and she just needs her living expenses and some travel money to go see grandbabies and all that type of stuff, she can turn on a set amount through an IUL. You can't do that with the 401k. So that's the difference. But that wealth formula I want to talk about real quick so that people understand the rule of 72. So if Tanisha wouldn't mind pulling up that rule of 72 slide, because that's how you understand this. So the rule of 72, this example right here, where you talk about the magic of compound interest. You take whatever your rate of return is, you divide it into 72, and that is how long it takes for your money to double. So for instance, if you look down here, you got at the very bottom of the 3 columns, you got a man or woman, age 29, that's got a $10,000 investment at a 4% interest. Well, it's going to take 18 years for that money to double. By the time that person is 65, that's $40,000. Other than doing nothing at all, that is a horrible rate of return. That's better than nothing, but still, how are you going to live off $40,000 unless you live outside in a tent then that's not real. That's not going to happen. The next one in the middle, it's got 8%, which is better. 65, by the time that person gets to 65, that money doubling every 9 years, that gets you to 160. And that's considerably better. That's not, you're not balling, but that's way better. And then last but not least, at 12% interest, that money doubles down to every 6 years, and that's $640,000 by the age of 65. Now, I want to say this. Now, on that first column, you see the interest rate is 4%, right? You go over to the second column, that's double, that's 8%, that's double 4%. You look down at the bottom, 40,000 to 160, man, that's quadruple. You doubled the interest rate, but you quadrupled the rate of return. And then when you go down to the third column, that is what, 3 times the original interest rate. But you more than, I don't even know what that is. That's hell. What is it? Why am I slow at math? Look at my calculator. 640 divided by 40. Hell, that's 16 times the original investment. I mean, you're 16 times the original rate of return.
Yeah.
Now, one thing while I'm talking, remember I was telling you about the interest rate for your debt, and Patrick was the one that initially said it.
Yeah.
When they were originally doing those loans at 67% interest, if you don't pay that thing off, the debt doubles every 1.07 years. So that's why people could never get out of those title loans. But Tanisha just said that the debt, that they reduced the interest rate to 37% now. So you take 72 divided by 37, that's still 2 years. That's 1.9 on that. So the debt, or whatever you loan, so if you got $1,000 from them and you didn't pay, you were just paying the minimum, then you're gonna, in 2 years, the debt that you owe them will be $2,000. And that's why debt is slavery, man. That is absolutely why debt is slavery.
Yeah, you will never get out.
I hope, so when you look at this, when we're talking about the rate of return on that wealth formula, the rate of return is key. It's got to account, as we said, for inflation, and it's got to account for taxes. So that's the key.
For sure. And another method how we help people to save money. We let them know that they want to save. You want to save at least 10% of your income. You want to save more, but at least 10. You know what I mean? If you want to see a difference, in your finances, and it's called pay yourself first. And like we said earlier, you want to stick to it when you're trying to elevate your financial space and get into a better realm with your finances. You got to cut back on your expenses. You got to cut back on unnecessary stuff. Stick to the things you need. It's only a short period of time. You know what I mean? It ain't forever. Just put it on hold. Then once you get into that financial space you need to be in, you can bring it to the forefront, and you may not ever have to push them back again. But that's definitely one thing, one way that we show clients how to, save money to start. And then we help them to put that in a tax advantage vehicle to help it even, let their money work for them.
Got you. Well, man, one of the things. Go ahead, Patrick. I'm sorry, brother.
I had just wanted to say one thing, and I seen it in myself. So I say this in the most humblest way that I can say it. A lot of times, people, and I say myself too, because I didn't necessarily have a money problem. I had a self-control problem. Money is going to come and go, but my self-control and my discipline on what I did with my money caused financial problems. And when I speak to clients and everything, a lot of times it's not the money that they're making that's the problem. It's them. It's their actions, the things that they've grown accustomed to doing, tendencies and habits that have to break before they're able to see financial growth in themselves. Because our head coach say all the time, hey, we can teach you everything under the sun as far as finances go, but it's still up to you to listen to what's being said and apply that knowledge.
For sure.
Just knowledge is worth nothing. It's applied knowledge that means something. So on this call, we're Fathers and Finances, and we've been doing it for months, almost a year now, maybe over a year now. And there's people that watch.
Not quite. We getting there.
We getting there.
We getting there.
See, Pat act like he married. You know, Pat act like he married. You know how when you've been doing something for a long time, you go, how long y'all been married, man? I don't know. It seemed like a long time, but it was like a year.
I'm married to the game.
But yeah, Pat, and I know you were saying about the clients, some of the clients you talk to as well. I'm sure it happens with everybody, all of us, and everybody else.
When I say clients, I mean everybody, including myself. So.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Naturally, just as human beings, we're brought up. We're active spenders. You know what I mean? So that's what we taught. We spend money or what we shown. You know what I mean? By our peers and stuff. You make money, and even our older siblings. You know what I mean? Because our families my family wasn't educated. You know what I mean? So financially educated. So it's like they just make money, spend it. Make money, spend it. You know what I mean? But like you say, you have to have that discipline, and we help with the guidance. You know what I mean? It's up to you to have that discipline, to discipline yourself and execute and apply what we're telling you. But you have to be, at least we teach people to be passive, active savers and passive spenders. You know what I mean? So that's a big one for real. Like you said, it's really not money that's the problem. It's the person, the individual. They got the
one of the things.
My people, I want to say one thing before you take off, because I know you look, Papa, you look like you ready to talk. Now, what I wanted to say, and I really wanted to get this off, is, please, if somebody's giving you good information, it's good. Don't look for what they're doing bad. Don't look for the person that's telling you good information to be perfect, because if they're telling you this, it's because they've probably been there before. They've been sitting in the same shoes, the same couch that you've been in, and they see that you have a need that you need that they have came across, and that's helped them. So that's the first thing that I've always noticed is, first, I have to be correct before I can tell somebody. Exactly. But secondly, if I am correct and I tell you something, the first thing that you get is, well, that's good, but you need to comb your hair sometimes. Or you be coming through and you be stank after the gym. You don't need to be doing that. So it's like, hey, don't look for something wrong because you get corrected. Take the correction and move forward. Because if it's correction and it's good, it makes sense to you, don't take it in a bad way. Take it in as a good way. Take it as a blessing. You learn something new today. You can apply something.
For sure.
What'd you say, Mike? I would, what I wanted to say was, Patrick, that's key. So literally, I came to this campaign. I was already in the financial services industry. I made 6 figures, but I found myself in a very bad financial situation because I did not have financial education. I was all over my debt. My expenses were way out of control. It was just stupid. So I came to this to learn the financial education. But one of the things I wanted to talk about that has opened my eyes, what people really don't know, they're like, well, I want to have growth, but I don't want to risk my money. It's always that seesaw between growth and safety. And I kind of wanted to discuss that real quick, and along with something else before we get out of here, because I know our time is limited. But, a lot of people go, we can't get growth without high risk. And then we can't get safety and have decent growth. We can have a little growth, but not decent growth. But what we want to let people know here at that's on here, not only can you get good growth, not only can you get good growth with safety, you can get tax advantage so that you're not like that example that I just gave you about my client that got $1.2 million in her 401k and only left 680,000. Granted, 680 is better than nothing,
Right.
but she saved 1.2 million. And then she had to give the government $600,000 of that roughly. And then the last part is, out of all of that, you can not only have protection for your family, you can have protection for your income. In other words, if you get injured and can no longer work, you're still, as a man or woman, able to take care of your responsibilities where nobody else has to come in and take care of those responsibilities for you. You don't have to go to the government. You don't have to have turtleneck Mitch McConnell sitting up there talking about is $600 or $1,200. Are you worth $600 or $1,200? Looking like Tippy Turtle up in this piece. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up, I really don't like that man. I don't know if it came across and what I just said.
Oh, we see.
I don't like Mitch McConnell. I mean, I really, listen, I dislike Mitch McConnell more than I dislike President Trump. Trump is who he is. But Mitch McConnell, man, I'm telling you, I cannot stand that dude. But that's another topic. All right. And so the next thing, if Tanisha will pull up that next slide, because I know we only got a couple of minutes, and I want us to kind of close out talking
touch
about
on the
this.
formula 1020 before we get out of this.
That formula 1020, right? So I want to drop some knowledge to some people that's out here, because we were talking about setting goals, right? And so I want to do that formula 1020 so that they can have an idea of what they need to look at, and we can talk about that as we close out. So we got a formula 1020. That formula 1020 will start out with the 21st. Typically, if you're going to retire, because of health advances and technological advances, we're keeping us alive longer. We typically live 20 to 22 years after our retirement. So they say that if you make your retirement goal should be 20 times your current annual salary. So in this example, if you make $50,000, you need to have saved up for retirement $1.1 million. Some people are going to live longer than that, but to simplify this, we want to make sure that you have 20 years worth of savings set aside. You need to have a vehicle that will allow you to live for 20 years. Have your money last at least 20 years, if not longer, preferably longer, but if not, you want to have it at least 20 years. And then for protecting your family, you want to, where the 10 comes in, the formula 1020 part of it, that formula comes in with making sure that you've got 10 years worth of salary set aside to protect your family. Part of that is in the dime method, which we haven't covered tonight, but the income, the I part of the dime method is making sure that you've got at least 10 years worth of your current salary. If you are the sole provider as a man, just for the men that's out there, if you're the sole provider for your family, your wife is, you've got 3 or 4 children and your wife is staying home, taking care of them, and you pass away, she's got to learn now a new skill. If she's uneducated or hasn't been in the workplace in a long time, she's educated, but she hadn't been in the workplace in a long time. She's now got to bring her skills up to current market value. How long does that take? She might need to get a master's degree. She might need to get something else. And I know a lot of you guys are out there saying, well, I don't want to leave my wife any money to be spending on another dude. That is the most ignorant BS I've ever heard in my entire life. You should be slapped with a rusted nail in a wet mouth. I mean, that is the ignorant stuff I've ever heard in my entire life. But if you take care of your wife, you're going to make sure that she's going to be able to take care of your children, replace your income, and be able to make herself marketable so that she can go out and take care of your children in her absence, where she does not have to go get a man to try and go help out. That chocolatey goodness that's right there, she needs a full 10, 15 years to mourn me if I pass away. You know what I'm saying? She need all of that. So I need to make sure that her income is right there. I don't want her looking at another dude I mean, she could look at another dude, and I certainly want my wife to be happy. But, you know, after 10 years, whatever happened after 10, 15 years, she can have all the happiness in the world she needs. But in the meantime, she's got enough money to take care of herself
Yep.
and continue on with no problem. So I'm sorry, brother. I just want to make sure that we drop that knowledge to the people.
Oh, definitely, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Now,
Is there,
anything y'all want to close with, fellas?
I wanted to say that I know for the people who don't know what DIME mean or stand for, it stands for debt. I stands for income. The M stands for your mortgage, and the E stands for education. And that is the major things that your money is going to be going to, and how you calculate that is how you decide how you're going to move. The thing about it is you just have to understand what is what, how things are working, and how they're going to work for you, and how you're going to be able to do that in the best way to live the life that you want to live, whether that's high class, middle class, or you want to live off the grid. there's entirely
off the grid,
but, yeah, off the grid. I thought that we was gonna have to do that during the pandemic. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was like, man, I have to go off the grid.
Sure. But
but today's show was fantastic.
Yeah,
I love talking about the campaign.
Definitely.
I love talking about the campaign. It brings me joy just to be able to share this great knowledge with y'all and be up here with y'all. You know, Smooth Papa OC and Marcus Hunt, my boys, my boys.
Yes, sir. Tanisha, can you put our information up there, please, real quick? We should have did that earlier too, but you know.
There's no real quick, bro.
Huh?
There's no real quick.
Nah. Yeah,
So I didn't hear what she said. What'd you say, Tanisha?
There's no real quick.
Oh, okay.
There's no real quick.
Slow motion over there.
Well, because you did.
It's okay, Tanisha. Don't listen to him.
It's all right.
Work as fast as you can.
It's all right, baby.
So Tanisha put up an example when Patrick was talking about that DIME method. She gave an example of saying if your house is worth $300,000, but you leave your wife $100,000, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure that she can take care of the house and all the other type of stuff. So there's plenty of things that's out there on that DIME method that we want to discuss. So
yeah, here's
there we go.
Information. For the people that can see, you know, reach out to us. Again, we're on this campaign to impact 30 million families by 2030. We're definitely looking for some like-minded people, you know, entrepreneur-minded people, you know, ready to build and make things happen and build a big business. That's what we're all about. So definitely reach out to us. Our information is right here on the screen. If you don't see it, I don't know what to tell you, but no, it's we'll be meeting with y'all again next week.
All right. So a great call, guys, man. And I certainly appreciate you guys. Looking forward to being here next week. Hopefully, Trevor, if you're listening, man, we miss you, brother. Come on back.
Sir.
You know, we missed your presence today. So the four horsemen, you can't have the four horsemen. We can be the three amigos, but we can't be the four horsemen. So we need the horsemen back on.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings, family.